This is a demo of the portal module, which can be used for external use in multiple areas for customer portal, subcontractor portal, maintenance scheduling portal. There's multiple functionalities into it. So start off by going to the portal module, which is in your KIM database. This is used primarily just for setup and inviting different subcontractors within your business. Start off with portal settings. These are the different types of external portal systems that we can use. So subcontractor portal is the one that I'll be focusing on primarily today. A maintenance manager, which is if you need to have your equipment serviced externally, then you can provide a job with details from the system out to your mechanics externally sourced. Also customer manager, which would allow you to manage your customers as well in a similar way to subcontractor, but purely just for sharing projects, updates and statuses, etc. that you may have running for the customer, well, your clients. That's the setup there. You can set up different profiles, so to speak, which will say what we want to capture from the external companies or people. So in this case, we've got a low risk profile, but you might have a high risk profile, which is generally categorized based on low risk, as in they might be completing small amounts of work and it's lower budget, so therefore there's lower risk in your business for these subcontractors. And then your high risk might be they need extra insurance sums, etc., based on standard thresholds that you may need. So within here you can configure what insurances you need to populate. If you need to add more, you can, but these are just your standard subcontractor based insurances that you might want to obtain from your subcontractors. SWIMs that you may want people to reference, code compliance is required, chain of responsibility, etc., as well as particular forms that you may want them to fill out as part of the induction process as well. So there'll be a summary of what is required by default on the right, so that will give a bit of an explanation as to what each of them will obtain. There's also an image that you can show if you wanted to. So I just tick SWIMs on that as well. Once you've done that, the rest of this is all configured as part of the initial setup of the system. Once you've got all that set up, we will obviously help you with that, but you then kick on to inviting your customers. So it starts off with the contacts module, where you'll set up companies linked to a particular folder which is linked with subcontractors. So I'll just go new company, we'll name them Kynection portal test. They need to have an email address, so I'll just go. And they have to be part of that subcontractor portal group that you've got configured. That is all that's required to have a invite be able to be sent out to external company. So we'll go back to the portal itself, go to invite subcontractor companies, and you'll see that company that we've just added. If you click into that, you'll select what profile is relevant to that particular company and click invite. That will then receive an email which is with the invite to the portal. So as you receive the email, go to sign up and fill out the first initial details about your company. So it's already pre-populated your company name, the username, but you'd be putting in your details at that point as to your particular main admin. 1, 2, 3, 4. So password needs to comply to all the standard rules, an uppercase, lowercase, special character and a number. So just make sure you put that in. If you don't have the correct context, when you try and submit it, it will tell you what you are missing. So I'll just go match, submit, and that's your first page done. Then you go to login and use that email and password that you've just set up to get in. Once you're logged in, you'll get the first more detailed company configuration setup. So just put some test data in, Medical details is just anything particular about your account that may be needing to be considered in the setup. Not mandatory. Everything else that we filled out above is mandatory. So next step will then take you into the configuration of what's required as part of the initial enrollment and registration. So it starts off with company profile, which again has more details around your ABN number, your phone number, which again might be the same as what you previously had. 110 Railway Parade, Seaford, Victoria, 3198. So hitting save on that will mark that left section as complete. Keep going through all the sections until you've filled out all data. So the insurance policies, it says along the top what is needed as a mandatory need to fill out the induction process, because that's what this is, a company induction. So add new insurance, your sum insured, this will say it's 250,000 we'll say. Policy number, you can obviously put in, insurer name, test. Insurance type, that's where you're choosing the 3 different types of items that you need to add. Just go public liability. Expiry, if you try and put a date in that is in the past, it'll throw a validation that it needs to be current. That will come up as a warning when you try and submit it. So I'll just go, it needs a file as well. So upload from your PC, we'll go to documents and upload my little guy. And then save. There you go. Insurance selected has expired, so that's the validation that says it needs to be current. So I'll change that to 08 and 2023. There is also a calendar selection if you prefer to use it, but otherwise type it in as I just did. Hit save, and now that is green, and we have a record in the table. Rinse and repeat for the other 2. Hit save, and that's that section completed, because we've got 3 records for what it requires, and that section is complete. Code compliance is needing your code of compliance letter and also your assessment letters. So that's just an upload of a file at this point. So obviously you'd be putting in the correct file, not test data. And then hit save, and again that has completed that section. Swims, it's the same thing. What is your work scope? You would type in what's required of your business. So it could be carpentry works. And then the swims would just be selecting your swims that you are complying to under that. So upload your swims and hit save. Again, that's that section. Team members is where you're inviting your contacts from your company to also interact with the portal, because at the moment you've only got that one access. Press the invite at the top, type in the email address that is required. There's 2 different user types that you can use, standard or manager. It just filters what you can see or how much you can see. So manager can see all projects regardless of if you're specifically added as a contact against them. Standard can only see what you're added as a contact to. So for the sake of this, I'll go manager and invite member. We'll say sending invites to the person, hit OK, and you will also get an email through that email with an invite as a contact to complete the same process. So go to sign up. The same thing will happen again where it's got the user email. Fill out your first name and surname. So I am Mark, so I'll fill out this Mark. Go to login, then that will apply login access to that individual. If I go back to team members, it will show that person registered as well. If your person that you work with leaves, there's a deactivate button which will remove access to access the system. You can also add sub-companies. So if you are a subcontractor that is using subcontractors, you can invite your external bodies as well. But for the sake of this, I'll hit no on that. That will then mark that team members as complete, and that's everything essentially complete. So if I go submit induction for approval, that will go through as a validation to the admin of said company to approve this subcontractor for using the system. So we'll flick back to the system here and go into portal and then go to invited companies. You'll see that particular item there. You'll see all of the data that has been updated or uploaded. So all of the 4 images, company induction will have company projects, company forms, everything will all be visible in here. So your first option is resubmit your induction. So if it needs more information, you can send a notification to the individual to say it needs recompleting because there's invalid data. You can reject induction. That means if you have had a bad experience with a subcontractor and you don't want them to be able to use the system, then you can basically remove their access and then re-invite. If they didn't get that initial invite that is when you set up the company, you can re-invite. If you're happy with what they've provided, you can put a accept induction button at the top, which is the box with a tick in it. This is where you invite your companies to your projects. So if we select your project, which references your full projects list, you can choose which projects they can access through their portal access. So we'll go to Tarracon, we'll go to Burrell Hospital, and we'll end with that. So now if I flick back to the portal, you'll have access to both of those 2 projects that are there. So if I go view project, you'll have information of who's on it, so marked in Kynection portal, any safe work method statements that you have uploaded, location, and any tasks that have been assigned to you. This is your contacts, so you can invite certain contacts from your company to be involved in that particular project as well. So the 2 people in the system, Kynection portal was the original account and Mark Temp was the second account. So to add a task to be as completed, again you go back to the project itself and we go to Burrell was 1, and then we add a task, and then in linked items, if you add the company of the subcontractor that needs to work on it, that task will be assigned to them. You can add the particular context from there as well, but that will do from a base perspective to show that item. As you're probably seeing, everything that you're adding here is synchronizing straight away. You can also add custom forms to be completed as part of these tasks as well. So if I go to drill log, sure. So once you're in the login page, go sign in, and you'll be presented with what projects are shared to you as the subcontracting company. In this case, we've got Tarracon and Burrell Hospital, both sample data, but if we click into view projects, you'll see any tasks that are assigned to your company. So in this case, just got a test example. The due date on it is the 23rd of the 6th, and the description, if there is any, will also show in there as well. This has a form for completion as part of the task, so if I click on that, you'll get the form created. Once you submit the form, it will submit through. When you close that, it'll show as complete, and you can mark your task as completed. And that will be resolved. That will then push through any forms that are completed back to the web access. Go to projects, go to Burrell, tasks. That one's completed based on completing it through the portal, and you've got that form listed as well. If you need any additional information on this module or any other offerings that Kynection has, please let your dedicated salesperson know, and we would be happy to help.